my understanding that this prosecutor was fired for doing a poor job, and that
you are wrong.
Can we
name the prosecutor?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't have any idea what you're talking about right now.
We're back, and we're back with another Tim Pool debunking video. He recently had Hunter Avallone on his show, sit-down discussion, and I want to touch on the part where Tim tries to lay it on Hunter that he's completely wrong about Joe Biden ousting Viktor Shokin, and he did it strictly because it's corrupt, because he's trying to cover for his son Hunter. So let's watch the clip of Tim telling Hunter he's completely wrong, and then let's go into why it's Tim Pool who's completely wrong.
Investigations for criminal activity into Burisma, where Joe Biden's son was working, and Biden personally flew out after their PR company reached out to the State Department saying, why are you investigating? Stop this now. Joe Biden goes out there and says, if you don't fire the prosecutor, you ain't getting $1 billion.
No,
Quid pro quo.
I cannot. I'm sorry. I can't.
Those are facts.
I can't stand by while this.
Those are facts.
No. This
what do you
contest?
contest?
This is complete misinformation.
No, it isn't.
Did you watch the video?
Donald. First of all, Hunter Biden did not earn 1.5.
I didn't say
million?
he did.
Was it 1.5?
I didn't say he did.
1.5 billion.
I didn't say he earned any money.
Did you not just say?
I said he was flown in Air Force Two by Joe Biden to negotiate a $1 billion private equity deal in China. That's a fact.
Now I read about that, and that's definitely not a good look for Hunter Biden. 100%.
Why was Joe Biden using government property to fly his son for private deals in China?
It's my understanding that this prosecutor was fired for doing a poor job, and that
you are wrong.
Can we
name the prosecutor?
I don't know.
Exactly. Viktor Shokin.
Can we find out? Can we fact
play
check
the video?
Sure. Well, we're not going to play the video of Joe Biden saying, but I'll break it down for you, because Matt Taibbi is not a conservative. The UK froze the assets of Mykola Zlochevsky. He's the guy who founded Burisma. So you don't have any idea what you're talking about right now. Okay. Zlochevsky was under criminal investigation. Mm-hmm. When Joe Biden intervened, there were at least a dozen investigations into him and this company. Hunter Biden was put on the board for seemingly no reason, probably to garner influence. When asked about it, Hunter Biden was asked, if you weren't Joe Biden's son, would you have gotten this job? He says, probably not. So even his acknowledgement, that's why they brought him on. Right. We also have the emails where when he's doing this Chinese negotiations, they talk about the big guy, and that was confirmed by Tony Bobulinski. I digress. Viktor Shokin was the prosecutor who signed a sworn affidavit in court in Ukraine that said he was investigating active investigations. And Joe Biden intervened and put pressure on him. And he had a meeting with the president after the president was told, we're not going to get the $1 billion. And he said to him, you're being fired. And that was it.
Okay, now let's go into the whole firing of Shokin. Tim Pool mashes up some China stuff there with the Viktor Shokin and Ukraine. Not going to get into the China stuff. We're going to stick to the Viktor Shokin Ukraine thing. That's the main crux of this point, the main crux of this whole argument, the main meat of the corruption, because Joe got Viktor Shokin fired and Hunter Biden was on the board of Burisma. So that's the main point here. First, let's just think about that. A diplomat from another country comes into your country and just says, just himself, just Joe Biden, and just says, you have to fire this man. And then that's it. And then he gets fired. And he wasn't actually officially removed for months later, and he was actually had to be voted out by the Ukrainian parliament. So let's put that in there as well. It wasn't like Joe Biden just says, oh, you have to fire this guy, and then boom, he's gone. No, he had to be officially voted out by the Ukrainian parliament. But just back up for a second and think about, what if someone just came in to our country? It was like, hey, you got to fire the attorney general. And boom, he's fired. Just one man's opinion, just one man's influence comes into your country and is like, hey, you got to fire William Barr. And then boom, William Barr is fired shortly after. Like, it doesn't even pass the sniff test. But let's get into a whole slew of other institutions and people and reasons why they were all pushing for Viktor Shokin to be fired. Let's start with the fact that back in 2016, February of 2016, there were multiple Republicans who actually signed on to removing Shokin. So it was a bipartisan effort within America to get this man removed. You had Rob Portman of Ohio, Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, and Mark Kirk of Illinois, and then along with several Democratic senators, called for Ukraine's then president to press ahead with urgent reforms to the Prosecutor General's office and judiciary. 4 days later, Shokin resigned, although he wouldn't officially leave until the following month when the Ukrainian parliament voted him out. So it wasn't just Joe Biden in America. It was a bipartisan effort to remove him. The really slimy and sleazy thing about this is after Trump went ahead with this crazy conspiracy theory, a couple of these, or Portman, the one who actually signed on to it in 2016, Portman actually then changed his tune and started backing Donald Trump's assertion. Same thing with Johnson. So in a sleazeball turnaround of these two particular Republican politicians just doing everything they can to stick their nose up the ass of Donald Trump and the Republican Party by just immediately backing this insane conspiracy theory, even though before Trump was even in the picture, when they knew the facts and they were understanding what was going on, they actually signed on to this article that was written, again, it's 2016. You can't say like, oh, was written in 2019 when this was going on or something, and there's some sort of slant to it. No, this was well before the whole Trump bringing this out. So go through as to what was happening at the moment, the minutia of everything that was going on during this time, actually. The United States and other Western nations had for months called for the ousting of Viktor Shokin, who was widely criticized for turning a blind eye to corrupt practices and for defending the interests of venal and entrenched elite. The man wasn't doing his job. He was just another corrupt Ukrainian member of the politics over there. Has for a long time had extreme problems with corruption, and this man was he's supposed to be outing the corruption in his position, but he's actually just adding to it. Let's continue. He was one of several political figures in Kiev whom reformers and Western diplomats saw as a worrying indicator of a return to past corrupt practices. 2 years after a revolution that was supposed to put a stop to self-dealing by those in power. The man was, again, doing the exact opposite of what he's supposed to do. And it wasn't just Joe Biden. It wasn't even just the United States. It was many nations in the EU that wanted this man removed. They were pressing the Ukrainian president to out him. There were foreign donors that had also complained about the rot in the prosecutor's office, not least because much of money was suspected to be being stolen was theirs. In one high-profile example known in Ukraine as the case of diamond prosecutors, troves of diamonds, cash, and other valuables were found in the homes of two of Mr. Shokin's subordinates, suggesting that they had been taken as bribes. Since his appointment a year ago, Mr. Shokin had been criticized for not prosecuting officials, businessmen, and members of parliament for their roles in corrupt schemes during the government of former President Viktor F. Yanukovych. Probably butchered that, but he also did not press cases for sniping by the police and opposition activists during the street protests in 2014 that killed more than 100 people and wounded about 1,000. The man was corrupt and not doing his job. He was literally doing the opposite of his job. Here we got some more from, again, back in 2016. So this was, not written after the fact, after Trump's assertions, where people can try to construe it and just say, this is anti-Trump rhetoric or something. So this is from the Irish Times. The European Union has welcomed the dismissal of Ukrainian scandal-ridden prosecutor general and called for a crackdown on corruption, even as the country's political crisis deepened over efforts to form a new ruling coalition and appoint a new prime minister. Ukraine's parliament voted overwhelmingly to fire Viktor Shokin, ridding the beleaguered prosecutor's office of a figure who is accused of blocking major cases against allies and influential figures and stymieing moves to root out graft. The man was corrupt and not doing his job. And this is the reason why it wasn't just Biden. There were European Union countries. There were Republicans along with Democrats in America who wanted this man out. Now, yes, did Biden withhold aid over their head as a way to get him to remove Shokin? Yes, he did. But you can't tell me that he just waltzed in there all on his own accord and did this simply to make sure that he covered some sort of tracks or corruption from Shokin finding something out about Hunter Biden on Burisma. That's not how it went down at all. Now, did Hunter Biden get that position probably because of his last name? Yeah, he probably did, and that's a problem in itself. That in itself is a problem that just doesn't just stop at the Bidens, right? It happens with a lot of people in American politics. Family members get positions and jobs, cushy positions, because they share the same last name as a higher up. This happens in all aspects of social life, honestly. It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, it's not good. You should be qualified for the position. I'm not going to deny that. But to say that Joe Biden just waltzed into Ukraine and withheld aid from Ukraine in order to get Viktor Shokin fired because he could potentially expose some sort of scandal or corruption with Hunter Biden is just a complete conspiracy. There's nothing behind it. He wasn't the only one that wanted this man out, and we just went over some of the reasons why they wanted him out. And he wasn't officially let go until the parliament actually voted him out. So Ukraine still had to make the official call on whether or not he was gone. So don't let Tim Pool fool you with his just insane conspiracy theories that he gets. He does do a lot of work on these topics, so one would have to think that he does see these things. So it's hard to know that he's just intentionally lying, or if he's grifting, or if he's honestly thinking he has it right and he doesn't because he misses these things, or I have no idea. But he got Hunter on this part. It made Hunter look bad because Hunter just wasn't equipped with the facts of the situation. And a lot of times on the fly, when you're sitting across from somebody, that's how it goes. It happened with the Destiny one, with the Michael Flynn situation with Destiny. You don't have all the information that you can quickly look up and be like, hey, you're wrong here. This is why. Part of the reason that probably Tim does these interviews in person, because he can say certain things and you're not equipped with all the necessary facts to rebut it on the spot. So then it skates by and it lends some level of credence to his audience that that must be true, that Tim got him there. So it's unfortunate, but I'm glad I was able to clean it up. Tim is mistaken again. I'll be charitable as possible. Maybe he's just mistaken.